In section 8.4, we're going to be talking about equations of circles. An equation of a circle in standard form is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals your radius squared. Now definitely make sure that you have this formula highlighted or starred somewhere that it's easy to look back to in your notes. Basically, this formula is going to help tell us the important parts of a circle, which is really just the center and the radius. The center coordinate we're going to look at is hk, so the h represents the x coordinate of our center, the k value represents the y coordinate of our center, and then r, obviously our radius. Also notice here how we're doing x minus our h value, y minus our k value, so whatever that center coordinate is, we're going to end up changing the sign in the equation. So let's look at an example problem. Here, I'm given an equation in standard form for a circle, and I want to identify the center and the radius of each one. Here I have x minus 8 squared plus y plus 1 squared equals 100. These numbers here tell me the center, so I look at them and I change the sign, because really I could look at this as x minus 8 and y minus -1, which changes to positive 1. So my center is 8, -1. My radius is the square root of that value right there, because that tells me my radius squared. So my radius is 10, and that would be it for that problem. In part B, now I have the equation x plus 1 squared plus y squared equals 16. Now we'll start off here. I look at that 1. That tells me that my center coordinate is at -1. And I might pause here because this seems kind of weird because there's nothing with the y squared value. Remember that nothing represents 0. So that means that my center coordinate in this problem would be -1, 0. And my radius would be the square root of 16, which is 4. Now let's work the other way. I'm going to give you the center and the radius, and we want to write an equation in standard form. Here we have our center coordinates at 0, 0, and my radius is at 3. So 0, 0 means I'm going to have nothing with the x and y, so I have x squared plus y squared equals 3 squared, which is 9. And that'd be it. In our second equation, we have the center -10, 4, and a radius of 7. So again, I look at those center coordinate values and I change the sign. So I would have x minus -10, which would turn into x plus 10 squared, plus y minus 4 squared equals 7 squared, which is 49. Alright, so in this last example problem that we're going to do, things get a little bit trickier. So in the third problem, the equation of a circle is given as x squared plus y squared minus 10x plus 8y plus 16 equals 0. And I want to figure out what the center and radius is. This problem's kind of tough when I'm looking at it now because it's not in standard form, so I can't clearly see what the center or the radius would be. So I have to kind of manipulate this equation a little bit to be able to rearrange it to how I want to see it. So what I'm going to do in this step, I kind of color-coded the parts that we want to look at here. I'm going to put my x's together, I'm going to put my y's together, and I'm going to move that lone value 16 to the other side. Notice when I move it to the other side, it turns into -16. I also put a space after the -10x and the 8y. You're going to see why in a second. Basically what we're doing is we're setting up to complete the square here. So complete the square method you might have talked about in Algebra 1. You're definitely going to see again in Algebra 2. We're going to kind of do like a mild version of it, so you see it again like a little bit this year before next year. So to complete the square, we want to be able to factor this x squared and this y squared term, but we need some magic number to be able to do that. And that magic number is going to be our b value divided by 2 squared. So really all that we're going to do here is we're going to look at our b value of a quadratic, which here is -10 and 8. I'm going to cut them in half and I'm going to square them. That's going to be the magic number that I put in that blank space. So I'm going to add -5 squared and then I'm going to add 4 squared. Now to keep my equation balanced, I need to add those values to the other side as well. -5 squared is 25 and 4 squared is 16. Now what I'm going to do from this step is I'm going to drop down that -5, so I'm going to have it say x minus 5 squared plus y plus 4 squared equals -16 plus 25 plus 16 is just 25. Now that's an equation that I'm a little bit more comfortable with, and now looking at that, I can determine that the center is 5, -4, and the radius is the square root of 25, which is 5.